It is election season, and a former council member turned federally convicted felon hopes to retake his old seat on the New Orleans City Council. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Sharice Gibson.
And I'm Katie Moore. Jon Johnson had to resign from the council when he pleaded guilty to federal corruption charges, just like Oliver Thomas, the council member he hopes to replace.
Well, today, Johnson faced some very tough questions from WWL Louisiana Chief Investigator David Hammer and is now pushing back on some of the accusations he pleaded guilty to.
Jon Johnson's record over his decades in elected politics is irrefutable.
I brought the driver's license office to New Orleans East when I was on the city council. I brought the hospital back to New Orleans East when I was on the city council. I brought Walmart back to New Orleans East.
Also irrefutable, his record as a convicted felon. Johnson has entered the race to regain the New Orleans City Council District E seat he left in 2012 when he pled guilty to redirecting thousands of dollars in Hurricane Katrina rebuilding money for a former school building in the lower 9th Ward and sending it to his 2007 campaign for state senate.
It was something that happened back in 2006 with a contract with a FEMA contract in reference to a building that was supposed to have been gutted out, where I put up my money in order to gut the building out. And when the contract payment was made, I got my money back and paid it to someone else as opposed to paying it to myself. That was the issue.
That's on the Sim building, right?
Yes. It had nothing to do with me as an elected official.
But what about the allegations that you pled guilty to that the money for the 9th Ward Housing Development Corporation then went to your Senate campaign? That's about you running for public office, right?
It had nothing to do with me as an elected official. I was not an elected official at the time.
Johnson says he's no longer connected to the nonprofit he was running when he redirected the FEMA money, although it's now registered at this rental property he owns on Desalon Street.
They used an address at a property that I own. I'm not connected, and it's only an address, but no corporation or no one who's connected with the corporation lives in the property or anything of that nature. It is only an address.
But don't you think that that looks bad to have it domiciled at an address that you own and just claim that you have nothing to do with it anymore?
No, I don't think so, because they own the corporation, and the corporation is actually run from an entirely different location.
The 9th Ward Housing Development Corporation still owns 14 properties in the area around Johnson's Desalon house, and 10 of them are vacant lots, many overgrown.
I'm not connected to the corporation. I do not speak for the corporation. I don't know the details of the corporation. I am not connected with the corporation, period.
He also now denies the second part of his 2012 guilty plea, where he admitted he got an SBA loan and submitted 3 false and fabricated contracts for repairs made to his personal residence. You pled to 3 fraudulent contracts for work on your personal residence.
Never. No, I don't know what you're talking about. No.
That's in the factual basis.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've not pled to any work that was done on my Desalon Street property.
And none of your other personal properties?
No. No, no, not at all. We were talking about the contract in reference to the Sims building. That was the only issue that came before me.
Okay, well, the documents say otherwise.
Documents are not always right.
But you signed the factual basis. You signed on to the factual basis.
Documents are not always right. I pled to one issue, and that was in reference to the Sims building.
Your experience cannot be taken away from you, but the question is, do the voters deserve somebody who doesn't have the other parts of it, going to prison for these crimes?
The voters will make that decision. That would be up to the voters. And I will say to you that the voters have addressed this issue with the last councilman that they voted for and that they elected, and that is currently in the seat today.
David Hammer, WWL, Louisiana.